This particular topic I haven't worked on as detailed as Danielle Coulter in our office has, because it was really the clerks, recorders, surveyors, which is kind of her portfolio, that started this. But this year we have seen both the Auditors and the Treasurers Association request this and get it in statute for post-election mandatory training. Here's some background. The bill that your language did get in was Senate Enrolled Act 147. This was, I called this bill, at least to begin this session, was the county treasurer's legislative package, and their training was in there, and your association, your lobbyist, John Coldren, myself, Danielle, all kind of made this strategic decision that if the auditors wanted this, the iron was kind of hot, so we needed to strike. You can really just see the basics of it. If you are starting a new term, you're on the ballot this fall, newly elected or second term in office, you'll have to meet these hourly requirements for training. 15 hours your first year at least, and then 40 hours by the end of your third year. And the reason they picked the third year rather than just the fourth year, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to finish your training up the last few months of your term, and you may not be able to use it. So that's the background here. The training courses are through the Association of Indiana Counties. Obviously, that includes you. We're kind of the umbrella organization, but for the auditors, it's going to be the Auditors Association working through us that's going to be developing this training, and then that's certified with the State Board of Accounts. The funding for the training, and this is kind of a broader topic than just for the auditors in particular, but it requires each county to establish this county training fund. And I think, obviously, this was middle of last year that this had to be done, so it should be accomplished by now. But this is revenue that comes from one of the fees the recorders collect, and it's used solely for recorders, clerks, surveyors, and now as well auditors and treasurers. The assessors are not included in this because they have their own training program, basically. Part of their property tax dollars is used for training, and they get a lot more state support too because they have that very high level of training that is necessary. And of course, with the assessors, it's pre-election training. To be on the ballot, you have to meet certain training requirements. For the auditors in particular, you have the Homestead Verification Fund. I mean, we talked about the pink forms earlier today. That money is very broadly used. I think the language in statute actually reads that it can be used for any lawful cost in your office, and certainly training would fall under that expense. So this is another kind of source of revenue other than this county training fund, which now your office will be able to draw down just like the recorders, clerks, and surveyors have been able to. Though I should note that since it's only effective July 1st, this particular meeting would not be eligible. Your mileage food would not be eligible for that. And it kind of dovetails a little bit into maybe a slight conflict in statutes. The State Board of Accounts has their statute. This is Title V, where it talks about expenses for the State Board of Accounts called meetings. And that statute says it needs to come out of county general fund. This hasn't been adjusted here recently, so it really just is a matter of county general fund probably prioritized for the State Board of Accounts meetings, and then the other two funds, either your Homestead Verification Fund, which is just for the auditor's office, or this county training fund, which can be used for all these offices. You working with the county council should be able to hopefully fully fund any of these training requirements, particularly now that it's mandated by the state statute. Be happy to go into more detail. I mean, I'm not going to just read you the PowerPoint slide here. Sorry I didn't have copies. I only got this to Debbie and Tammy yesterday, but they're very good about getting it online. Here are some examples of the training courses that you'll have, and we count up the hours too to just be sure that there's no lack of available courses for you to meet your hourly requirements, 15 per year, 40 by the end of the third year of your term. And this is patterned, of course, off of some of the already existing training programs. I know Danielle has been talking to Angie and with the president of the Treasurers Association so that you guys can start the process of certifying your training courses and getting exactly, signed, approved by the State Board of Accounts these hours. But I'm assuming that this is going to be very closely to what it will result in. So you can see, an NEO course by the State Board of Accounts, that's going to count. Annual Auditors Conference, these numbers might actually be more since you have the two conferences. A vendor user training, if it gets certified by the State Board of Accounts, if a particular, excuse me, if a particular vendor had a new computer system that you were using, they wanted to put a training course together, send that to us, send that to your association, get it approved by State Board of Accounts, you can earn hours for that. Our newly elected official courses that we have in Indianapolis every 2 years, those are eligible. The affiliate meetings, also eligible. And this is at our annual conference, the breakout sessions. Those are some of the best education that I see, because that's really kind of some of the larger groups that actually have the time to sit down and just talk, hear very specific presentations. The AIC Institute, this is what we used to call diploma. Those courses are now all streamed through the internet, so it should be very easy. You don't have to travel on this. And that was really designed because we realized that training budgets are tight, just like every other budget is. So we hope that this makes it very easy. In fact, you can log on, watch half of it. Maybe something else happens. You can log on, do the other half in a day or two. I think you actually have 30 days from where you sign up to the course to when you can't access it anymore on the website. So this particular, our institute courses are designed for your convenience and flexibility. Those are the core courses, and then we also have the electives. If there's particular elective courses that we could offer in this format, we're happy to work with your association to get exactly the information that you need that we can just stream straight to your desk in your office. Your regional meetings for the other affiliates, that's also available. So again, just adding it up here, 85 at minimum. I would say this number of available hours per year are going to go up. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to meet these requirements. Really, the hours picked were just so that the people who are doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, you're going to your State Board of Accounts meetings, you're participating in your association's meetings, our association. If you're doing what I think most of you are probably already doing, you're meeting those hours, if not far exceeding them already. So look at it kind of as a confirmation, an acclamation of the work that you're doing to professionalize your office and to ensure that you're keeping up on the rule changes, the changes in law that happen, as we all know, every single year. Certification, this is, I think, where you do have a lot of flexibility. You could be recognized here at this conference for meeting your training requirements. The second bullet point, this is what the recorders are contemplating, and you can take or leave this. Maybe there's some other direction you want to go. But they've thought about if they add up these hours and somebody doesn't meet them, right now there's no statutory penalty, but they could send these to your commissioners or to your counselor or something saying, hey, your recorder is not meeting their training requirements as called for by statute. There could be some other option available for you. This is an unofficial goal. They haven't really even explored this one way or the other. I just know that they are talking about this, at least internally. That's all I have. I was very brief today because it really is straightforward, and again, it's not to establish any additional standards than what you're already doing. Maybe a slightly bit more background. We knew that when the Kern and Shepard report was in its pinnacle of interest, I wouldn't say it's there anymore. One of the big criticism was, these are elected officials, but it's really just an administrative office. I don't really agree with that, but we wanted to kind of counteract that, they're just politicians argument with this training is done, it's required, they've asked for the training themselves, and now that all of the professional offices in the courthouse have that required training, I think that's a big milestone for county government and should be applauded, because your association and your fellow associations in the county are the only ones that I'm aware of that have this required training for elected officials, and that's something certainly to be proud of.